Hello there guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Histon. And coming up in today's video, we have got an away match against top of the table Boston United for the live comp today. But before we get into that match, as always, let's get into what's been happening since you were last with us, which was the crazy 3-2 victory against Darlington, where unfortunately my audio and commentary was a little bit rubbish because of the sound quality. I think it was because there was some issue with the sound quality there, so apologies for that. But despite that, we did manage to get the victory on the opening day of the season, preserving our streak of not losing on the opening day of the season at any point during this save. We then followed that up with a 1-0 victory in our first home game against Tranmere. The downside to this result was the fact that Josh Green has picked up a major injury and he is out with a torn hamstring for a good 2 to 3 months. If we actually go and have a look at his fitness, as you can see, he's only on 7 to 9 weeks now. It was 3 months when he sustained the injury, so some time has passed, but we've still got another 7 to 9 weeks without him. Considering the fact that he was the hero in the last game against Darlington, someone else had to step up, and that man was Adidja Mbunga, one of our summer signings, scoring his first goal for the club, and that was enough for us to get the victory. Callum Harris getting an assist there for that goal. Based on the stats, fully deserved in the end. Tamworth didn't register a shot on target, only had 38% possession, so positives all round. 2 wins out of 2. Unfortunately, we came crashing back down to earth with a bang away at Boreham Wood, a 2-0 defeat away from home. Liam Coogans with both goals on the 36th and 78th minute respectively. We were pretty poor in this game, despite having possession of 60%, being away from home, but we didn't register a single shot on target like Tamworth. But it was a bit more disappointing because of the fact that we had to play a makeshift strike force with James Difford alongside Jack Friend, because Mbunga was suffering from match conditioning after playing back-to-back games, 2 games in the space of 2 days or something like that. So that's the reason why we had to have a makeshift front 2, but hopefully that doesn't happen too often for the remainder of the season. So because of that, I don't think we were able to break down Boreham Wood effectively, and therefore we ended up losing this game. We then had a boring 0-0 draw away at Southport. Nothing much to report from this game. Based on the stats, very even game. A lot of yellow cards for both teams though, so unfortunately I think we got fined for this particular game because of the fact that we picked up too many yellow cards, which I think was absolutely ridiculous. I didn't realise that as soon as you get promoted into the actual leagues in the FM games, you actually get fined if you get more yellow cards. So this record of this lack of discipline that we've had for the past 4 years may come back to haunt us in terms of finances. So hopefully we can prevent that from happening in the future. Let's move on from that. But despite that, we've managed to we've got a point away from home, and it's only 1 defeat in the first 4 games, which is fantastic. We then had a fantastic result at home against Kidderminster, thrashing them 3-0. Matt J scoring 2 goals, with Mbunga scoring in between those 2 goals. Kidderminster had their fair share of chances, but they weren't able to take them. And we did have a little bit more possession than they did. In terms of, there's a lot of fouls though in the game, 20 fouls for both teams in the end right there. So bit of a scrappy game, but I think the fact that we managed to put 3 past Kidderminster, a former Football League club and also a National League club, is fantastic. And Matt J deservingly getting a man of the match there with 2 goals and 1 assist for the game. We then followed that up with a 2-2 draw against Stalybridge, who I think were in the relegation zone at the time we played them, so it was disappointing that we weren't able to break them down. But based on the stats, it looks like Stalybridge deserved to get a point out of this. Difford opened the scoring. Tishy Manga opened the scoring for Stalybridge after 32 minutes before Difford equalised after 47. Matt J then scored his 3rd goal in 2 games before Tishy Manga scored his 2nd to equalise. And actually, I think it was this game where we got the fine because of the fact that we had 6 yellow cards here. So we avoided the fine in the Southport game, but this is where we got the fine here with the home game against Stalybridge. So I'll reiterate the comments I mentioned in the last bit when I was talking about Southport, so I won't repeat myself right there. So that unfortunately resulted in a fine with £500, but I'm hoping we can learn from that and not do that again. Otherwise it's going to hit us financially overall throughout the season. However, we did bounce, despite this disappointing draw, we bounced back with a 3-1 victory against Kettering, the first time we played them in a couple of seasons. First victory against them as well. George Burns scored his first goal for the club, scoring from a set piece, before Kieran Phillips scored an equaliser from the penalty spot, Mbunga then added his second goal of the season with I think third goal of the season. I can't remember off the top of my head who scored in the. I think it was from the Kidderminster game that Mbunga actually scored. Yes, he did. Sorry, so he's actually got 3 goals so far. Sorry, I've accidentally clicked the wrong button there. We'll go back into the Kettering game. Mbunga made it 2-1 before James Difford then put his second goal of the season away to make it a 3-1 victory away from home. And that's given us some pretty good form as we head into this next match, which I'm not actually confident about despite the run of form, the fact that we've only lost once so far this season, as we're up against the team that's currently top of the league. And if we look at the league itself, as you can see, we've had a pretty good start, currently sitting in 4th place in between the 2 rivals of Salford City and FC United of Manchester. So we're keeping those 2 teams apart a little bit there. I'm hoping that they're going to have a jump over each other. But as you can see at the top, Boston United are leading the way with a +8 goal difference ahead of Bishop Auckland, who are having a fantastic season as well, which is quite surprising. I think they've been rising up the leagues in recent history. As you can see, right, they were in the National League North last season but finished mid-table. They seem to have turned the screw and now are currently challenging for National League promotion alongside Boston United. So, without further ado, actually no, there's one last thing I wanted to mention as well. We did lose one player to a transfer. Jack Friend has left the club after only just over a season with us. He's now gone to play for Braintree, who at the moment I think are in the relegation zone right now. He did pick up his first assist of the season with Braintree though, so wish him all the best. He was on a non-contract though, so I wasn't worried at the fact that he was going to leave. One of those things, I guess. But yeah, but let's get on to the Boston match, who actually have got the top goal scorer already. He scored 12 goals already this season, Michael Obafemi. Goodness me, we're going to have to close him down at an average rating of 8.24 with Morrison and Laycock in the top 3 already for average rating. Really, really good start for Boston here, so it could be a very long afternoon for us. But if we can play our cards right and play very tactically well, we might be able to just snatch a draw out of this, which is what I'm trying to aim for in this game today. Let's go to the team selection. We're going to be in front of 4,700 fans here. It's a lot more than I think what Hereford are getting when we were playing them in the last season, when especially the fact that they've got a high reputation. So here's the team we're going to go for today. Reece Beals on goal alongside Goddard, Shane Lovell, Taylor McKenzie with William Gregory at left back, Alfie Davison, Callum Harris in the centre, with Sam Joel and Justin May on the wings, with Matt Jay alongside Idija Mbunga. I'm rewarding Jay for his fine form for scoring goals, so hoping these two can, him and Mbunga can continue their good bright start to the season. On the bench, Luke Colquhoun, as always, is our backup goalkeeper. He is under a transfer bid from Coventry United, though, so he may end up leaving us out off camera here. But we'll have to wait and see on that front end. Maybe we have to bring in a backup goalkeeper. Osborne on the bench as well with Luke Doby, who's had a pretty okay start to his assistant career. Adrian Morford, our youngster, on the bench as well, with James Difford as the only striker. Josh Green, as I mentioned before, he's out for another 7 to 9 weeks. So I'm hoping James Difford, Matt Jay and Mbunga can step up here and provide the majority of the goals as before Green does get back from injury. So, without further ado, let's just get into the game. We focus on defensive positioning for obvious reasons, considering that Boston are clearly top the highest goal scorers already, with the fact that their Obafemi has scored 12 goals in the first 7 games so far. So they are 1 to 2 favourites. So yeah, we've got literally no chance based off those odds. But football's not played on it, as cliche bingo. Football is not played on the paper; it's done on the pitch. And as you can see, they're going for a 4-4-2 system, bit like ours, but it's a lot less dynamic, I think. Definitely closed down Obafemi and. I don't know who the other striker is. I don't think he's as well known. Smith, I do remember. Kane Smith, was he one of the high rating players? I can't remember. I only just looked at it, but yeah, that's a bit silly if I can't remember. I think Laycock as well was one of those players that was quite high rated. So in terms of the average rating so far. So Obafemi though is the key man. We've got to stop him from getting a chance. We may actually show him onto weaker foot as well to see if that's all prevent him from getting any better chances. So. Let's get into the game here. Let's go for that and see if we can get some motivation. Only one player has reacted well, but now they seem to all react as soon as I go for team talks, individual or positional team talks. So we now get on with the game at Boston United here. We're kicking off from left to right here. Goddard plays the ball to Joel. He might be closed down by number 3, by Gordon, and he has done. Here's Batty. Better not be David Batty. He might spoon the ball over the crossbar. But we've got an instant highlight here on the right hand side. Hornsby has actually lost, or nearly lost out to number 8. I think that's Callum Harris for us. Nibs, a ball up towards Obafemi, the man who's a big danger. But Reece Bills is equal to it and keeps him out. And that has gone down as a clear-cut chance for Boston United inside 2.5 minutes. And then got a free kick a couple of minutes later. But Nibs, the other striker that I mentioned before, has scored his first goal of the season. The man that we didn't single out before the game has actually scored against us. Not the man that we singled out and who's been on fire so far for Boston. Okay, here's the highlight. Batty with the free kick, and Nibs gets the header, jumps. The only player to jump around all of our Histon players, and that has resulted in a goal, and it's 1-0 Boston. I've got another highlight for Boston here. Obafemi on the right-hand side has won the ball off a throw-in. Laycock to Hornsby. Back to Smith, who took the throw-in. Ball up towards Obafemi again. He's now looking for his goal. And he hit the post. That's two clear-cut chances. The two clear-cut chances have fallen to Obafemi, and both times he has failed to hit the target as Batty goes down with an injury for Boston United. So he's having to come off. The man who provided the assist and the free kick for the goal for Boston has had to come off very early on in this game. Okay, a highlight for us. Mbunga with a free kick up towards Goddard. Ball in towards May, but it's been cleared away. It's come back into the box, and that has just gone just wide of the mark. And that's gone down as a clear-cut chance somehow. I don't think that was a clear-cut chance compared to the other two, the chances that Boston had. But that's FM for you, I guess. Sometimes they come down as clear-cut chances, sometimes they don't. Alright, it's half-time. It's only 1-0, which is actually pretty solid. I mean, the ratings, though, aren't that great, to be honest. So we've got to do something here to improve the rating here. We might give them an assertive team talk. Yeah, they're all looking fired up. We might have to make a change as well in terms of up front, because Matt Jay's had a poor game. Goddard's had a poor game at right back, only a 6.2. The only players that have actually had a good game was the goalkeeper, who managed to save a one-on-one against the striker Obafemi, and then the 6.6 is for both Alfie Davidson and Callum Harris. So maybe a change on the horizon, but we'll keep it as it is for now. But we'll make a positive change at about 50-60 minutes as we now kick off the second half with Boston kicking this time from left to right. Hornsby in the midfield for Boston, and he plays it back to the centre back, and that's the end of the highlights. Right, it's time to make that substitution that I mentioned before. Both fullbacks are suffering quite badly in terms of poor ratings, but also the two strikers are not doing that great either. I might actually go for Mbunga on the left, and I'm going to bring on James Difford and switch Jay and Difford around to see if that will make a change. I'm going to keep Mbunga on for now. Adrian Morford might also come on because Sam Joel is also struggling a little bit with conditioning, but it's the midfield that are suffering the most, and Shane Lovell are only on a 76% conditioning, but he is the best defender at the moment, our outfield defender, out of all the back four right now. So got to keep an eye on that, I think, and see if make sure we don't get any sudden injuries here. Okay, it's time for another substitution here. Goddard is actually going to come off, and I am going to bring on Osborne for the centre-back role. He's the lowest rated player right now in terms of this game, so Osborne's going to come on and try and stop that right-hand side of ours being exploited by any of the Boston players. Yes, it's a negative change. We're making a defensive change, but if it means that we don't concede and we end up scoring a goal and grabbing a point, then I'm all for it. Okay, a free kick from Harris has been cleared away though by Nibs, the goal scorer for Boston. Mbunga on this left-hand side. Back to Harris, the original free kick taker. Plays the ball back to Mbunga, who might cross it in. Has done, but it's cleared away by the Boston centre-back here. Here's Davidson in the centre of the park. Back to Harris. Mbunga. Mackenzie on this left-hand side for some reason. Mbunga back to Harris. But it's cut out by Domacciolino. I think he's Italian, I guess. But Lovell's managed to win it back. And Jay's got an opportunity here. Taking a shot, but Brandsgrove in the Boston goal has saved it. And that was the chance, I think, for us to get that equaliser here. But it's not over yet, as the resulting corner is unfortunately cleared away by Boston by Poku, and Gregory's there to sweep up at the back, and that's the end of the highlight. Big opportunity there for Matt Jay to to equalise. Right, one more change is going to be made. Sam Joel is going to come off, and I'm going to bring on Adrian Morford for at the winger's role position. He's had quite a few assists on when he was been out on loan, so I'm hoping this change is a masterstroke, and he can provide that quality ball that we need into the box, and one of the strikers can then gobble that up. Okay, a corner from Boston. It's been headed in towards Jacobs, but it's Lovell's conceded a penalty, and it looks like it's going to be the end of our challenge here against Boston. Jacobs is now going to step up and take it. Yeah, as soon as we make a positive change, this is going to come back to haunt us here, as Jacobs is now going to step up. Can Bill save the penalty? No, he can't. He goes straight down the middle, and Boston are now 2-0 up. Devante Jacobs with his first goal of the season. It's now 2-0 with just 7 minutes remaining. It looks like Boston are going to come away with their 7th victory out of 8 games, which is a pretty good record so far this season. They are clearly the favourites to win the title here and get promoted into the National League. Got a highlight though for us. We might be able to snatch a goal here, but Morford's lost out to Poku. Jacobs again, back to Obafemi, who hasn't managed to score today, but Obafemi's managed to wiggle away from the strikers, but he was unable to finish past Reece Bills. So we achieved the objective of managing to shut down Obafemi. We weren't able to shut down the two other players that scored though, which is disappointing in the end. But here's Parrott though, and had a chance there in the box, but it was cleared away by McKenzie. Morford on this right hand side is probably going to be referee blowing the whistle here. Yes, he has done, as Morford loses the ball there, and that's a 2-0 defeat against Boston. Disappointing result here, but I'm going to say that. But yeah, the team looks like they didn't play it as expected. Yes, Boston were the favourites, but we should have created more, I think. We had that one chance, as I mentioned before, that if Jay had put away, I think the game is different, and we would have snatched a draw out of the match. But because that chance didn't go in, and Jay hit it straight at the keeper, that meant that we were again on the back foot, and unfortunately we were unable to get the positive results there. And because of that, we've dropped out of the playoffs for now, at least. There's only 8 games into the season. We've got plenty of time for this to completely turn around, as we now move on into the next match, which is actually a FA Cup qualifying round second qualifying round against Tunbridge Angels. I'm going to do that game off camera actually, and have a quick look gander and see what fixtures we've got coming up. I do want to do either FC United, Salford, or Gainsborough because of the Salford and FC United, because obviously the history, the fact that they're big clubs at this sort of level, especially Salford, the whole class of '92 stuff. But Gainsborough as well, as because of Leluja, etc. Apparently our promotion bid took a hit, even though I think we're not really in the promotion race, to be honest. Right now, I'm keeping that quiet though, because to ensure we don't raise our expectations a bit too drastically. But let's get and have a quick gander of the fixtures list. So we've got Blythe coming up away from home, which could be an interesting time. But we've also got Salford City away, and also Gainsborough away, and FC United at home. So actually, I think we might do Salford and Gainsborough towards the end of the season, or one of those games, and then do FC United at home or something like that. It depends on whether these games get rescheduled if we make advances in the FA Cup. We'll just have to wait and see on that front. So I don't know what to do. Let's do the Salford game away. We'll do Salford away on Halloween Day. That'll get us another good chunk of the season done, and hopefully that game doesn't get rearranged, because I want to play that game at Salford. Yeah, it will be another away game, but at least we're getting games against some big-ish sides in non-league terms. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, despite the unfortunate result, the fact we've suffered our 2nd defeat of the season. I'm not too fussed about it because of how good Boston United actually are at this level, and the fact that they are favourites to win this league. But despite the result, I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next episode, which will hopefully be the Salford City game away from home. And maybe we might include the Gainsborough away, but it depends on if we... I think that might be the FA Cup draw first round date, but depending on who we're playing, we might actually do a double live com of Salford away, and then whoever this FA Cup first round tie is, or Gainsborough, but we'll have to wait and see on that front. And then we'll do FC United a bit later on in the season away from home on at the end of March. So I hope you, again, as I mentioned before, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next episode, which will hopefully be away against Salford. So until then, see you later.